Hello, welcome to 250 is coming. Thanks for zooming in today. It's high noon, so we're going to get started in just a moment. So we have some folks zooming in and we have some folks coming in late, so we like to keep on time, and we'll get rolling. And Beth Kay, are you able to let other people in when they come through? So we'll disable the waiting room?
Yep.
Okay, no more waiting. Welcome, welcome. I'm Karen Simmons. I head the Community Foundation, which is located in Westchester. And we have been asked by the commissioners and the Planning Commission to help get 250 organized throughout Chester County. So welcome to one of our Friday lunchtime Zoom in to make histories. Today we're going to have a session on volunteerism. And it's a follow-up from last month when Donna Harris from Heritage Consulting in Philly, who's on the call, went through some of the survey results, and we've been able to recruit Mandie Cantlin from East Bradford Township and Karen Mudgett from the Chester County Food Bank, who are going to discuss some of their volunteer best practices, because we want to be able to learn from the best. And every once in a while, Karen Mudgett has to get up and move around so the lighting turns back around in her room. So thank you, Karen.
Thanks.
What I'd like to do is, there's a couple new folks on the call. I'm just going to take a couple minutes to do a really quick overview of 250, just so you can get on the same page with what it's about. And also, do know that if you want us to come and talk to your board or your commission or your municipality or your mother-in-law, we don't really care who we talk to about 250. We'll come on out and talk to just about any group about 250, whether it's by Zoom or in person. Our favorite meetings are not at 6 a.m. or at 9 o'clock at night, but we'll do that if we have to. One nature group wanted us out first thing in the morning. Thank you very much. but yeah, we like to come and talk about 250 just to get people all on the same page in this awareness phase. So for the 250 is coming. And again, this handout at the bottom, there's the website, and plus Beth will put it in the chat. The handouts and recordings are all on the 250 website.
Recording in progress.
And the recording is in progress. So there we are. That was a good cue. So with the 250 is coming, 250 is coming. You all know that famous date, July 4, 1776. Where we credit with the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the declaration of our independence from King George of Great Britain. If you add 250 years to it, you get 2026. So that is our semi-quincentennial. 250 is coming in 2026 throughout the land. And on a federal basis and a statewide basis, and now on a county by county basis, 250 commissions have been formed. And here in Chester County, here is what we are focusing on based on what we've discerned from the federal as well as the statewide level and what fits for Chester County. And I think the thing that is really important for Chester County is that we're looking for 250 throughout 2026, 7, 8 to be We the People events. It's not like the county is going to say, here's the one thing you need to go to. And congratulations, you've done your celebration. We are really looking to help co-promote throughout at least 2026 and beyond all kinds of things throughout the region and do an overlay on existing events. So if you're a heritage site, this fits what you do every single day. And if you're not a heritage site, there's more to come. But it really is about the American spirit and the founding principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There's certain things in Chester County because of the very place of our power of our place that are very specific to Chester County. So we're going to be able to focus for 250 in particular on the Philadelphia campaign, which I know many of you have been involved with, Heritage Places involved with the Philly campaign. And iron, steel, and industry is another theme specific to Chester County. And the Pathway to Freedom, Underground Railroad, Harriet Tubman Byway, Mason-Dixon line fits a bit. They're very specific to the power of who we are in Chester County. And then just the natural bounty of our landscape has have really helped us through the war for independence, as well as attracting people to us throughout. So the power of our place has specific tangible themes related to sites, and the power of our people, the social cultural landscape, has really led a lot to sort of what we would call this American experiment in democracy and some of the unfinished business that kind of was not really tied up in 1776 and which continues with our evolving values. So when we look at 250 throughout Chester County, you can see the themes that we hope to highlight. And as I said, we want to find out what is already going on and then co-promote it so that people throughout the community and tourists throughout the nation know what's going on and want to be part of it and come visit. So these are our overall goals. We want to help people encounter so many ways that Chester County influenced our nation's founding, and we want to help elevate everybody's understanding of our continuing journey to build a more perfect union. These are the themes. You've seen them before, and you'll see them again in some of the infrastructure improvements. We're trying to get resources to help overlay. But right now, we want to focus on raising awareness of everybody that 250 is coming. We're asking people to take the pledge, visit the website, follow us on all the social media you possibly can. Let us know what you're doing so that we can co-promote it on our website, which is also in our social media, which is hooked to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And here we are. It's 2024. 250 is coming throughout the whole year of 2026, but we don't stop there because the Battle of Brandywine was in 2027 and we made it to Valley Forge by the winter. So the things we put in place are going to last for a long time, not just through this time, but legacy lasting forever. That is my quick overview on 250. As I said, the most important thing is we're really trying to help individuals, families, neighborhoods, business organizations, municipality, everybody figure out how they want to be engaged in 250 and how they want to help spread the word. So throughout 2026, we're doing more planning, and our next session will focus more on some planning ideas, and our forums will focus on this for a while just to get a sense of who's doing what, who's thinking of what, and how we can help forge partnerships and paths. That's the stuff that's on our website. You see there's all kinds of media kit items on the website. If you have newsletters, e-newsletters, you can go and just cut and paste. If you don't like our website, just email us and we'll send it to you directly. So we've got resources and we want to make sure you have what you need to help do this planning for 250 and to help let us know so that we can co-promote it and get people involved and interested and engaged. That is my short 250 overview. Questions, comments, observations? Should we dive into some discussion on getting ready for 250? We said we needed really to make sure we have enough people volunteering. So recruiting volunteers, retaining volunteers, best practices. Donna Ann Harris has some ideas, and I also know that we're very fortunate to have Mandie Cantlin, who, Mandie, you get high points for volunteerism in East Bradford as a township manager. So I'm really eager to hear how this works so well and what is your secret sauce. And the Chester County Food Bank also is an incredible resource for volunteer recruitment, retention, and Karen Mudgett is going to talk with us. Now, you know, the food bank is not a heritage organization, but as far as I know, the food bank has a lot to do with unfinished business because having life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness also means you have enough food and equity issues when food sourcing and having healthy food are bigger in Chester County than a lot of people would know. So that is part of our unfinished business. Food Bank is very interested in being engaged in 250, especially from the unfinished business part when it comes to food equity. So that's my little introduction of how we got Mandie and Karen today. Donna, can you tell people a little bit about yourself as well?
Sure. My name's Donna Ann Harris. I'm a preservation consultant. I live and work in Philadelphia, but I've been working in the preservation field for 35 years. And I've been a consultant for about 20. And one of my particular interests is working with historic sites and house museums and providing training and consulting. So I'm delighted to be here today. And what we're really doing is following up on last month's webinar about visitor readiness. And key takeaways from that was that more than half of the Chester County visitor attractions, whether they're historic sites, trails, parks, or that took part in a survey during February. And I'm going to give a sort of very brief overview about what visitor readiness is. If you weren't with us at on that webinar last month, and why volunteers are so important to our collective success for the upcoming 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, as Karen had mentioned, coming in 2026. But before we get to our panel, which is going to be great, I have some background that I hope will help us all understand why volunteers are really so important to all of us. Next, please. So what's visitor readiness and why is it important? It's a consistent delivery of an experience at a historic site, an event, or an activity. So it sort of starts with adhering to published open hours and consistently provides an experience that is marketing specifically to visitors at the published price, although so much of us provide services for free, but that's okay. And then the visitor ready site is one that offers a variety of amenities and services such as a gift shop, tour guides, or on-site literature that they can take advantage of. And it aids also in the delivery of particular experiences that a visitor is going to have either through events or reenactors or walking trails or going to events at theaters or other kinds of public activities. Really, at the very basis, cleanliness and safety is expected for anybody that's visiting any of our sites. And then being designated as visitor ready assumes the responsibility that we're good hosts, that we're providing open and accessible site readiness to welcome visitors. Next slide, please. So where this all comes from is the National Trust for Historic Preservation. They inaugurated a heritage tourism program in the 1980s, and they came up with specific criteria to determine if a site was visitor ready or not, or working towards being visitor readiness and being visitor ready. And part of our session today, talking about volunteers, is really the critical component for so many of our trails or historic sites in order to be able to serve the public that comes and visits us. So Cheryl Hargrove is a former National Trust staffer and she's written a book called Cultural Heritage Tourism, Steps for Success and Sustainability. And here's what she says about visitor-ready sites, what visitor-ready sites need to have. Safe operations for visitors. And what she's meaning here is lighting for safety, well-maintained paths, appropriate insurance, and business license to operate. Open to the public, published days and hours, and at least one open visitor weekend day. Could be seasonal, but open by appointment really is discouraged because visitors who want to drop by will arrange in advance to have a tour. Visitor amenities, these could be very variety of things like handicap parking, handicap restrooms, on-site signage, bus parking, refreshments. If you have a gift shop, that's great. Merchandise should be reflecting of the site and the purpose of the themes that your site or organization is promoting. Everybody needs to have some kind of tour guides or docents. They could be paid or volunteer. We're going to talk about that, about training and learning about neighboring sites, so you can encourage visitors not only to visit your site, but to visit other sites that are just down the road or in the same theme area of your sites. We can have a variety of programs as well. They can be compelling activities for current members or potential members and visitors. Often they need to be updated so they can make a big difference to encourage repeat visitors to come with different programming. And then marketing to capacity. What's the maximum number of people per day, per year that your site can handle without compromising the integrity of the site? Do you have time tickets? A lot of people don't, and that's fine. And can you divide up a large group to have them rotate to various parts of the site? And do you have specific days where you invite school groups to come? Next one, please. So our survey asked about many items, but the one that related to visitor readiness, but volunteerism really was a critical concern for the majority of our respondents. We all know that the challenge of recruiting, recognizing, and retaining volunteers, especially in the post-COVID-19 environment, so many of our organizations lost countless numbers of volunteers because of that long period when our organizations were closed. Even after getting back and trying to get on track, many of us were still left with fewer volunteers because they just really fell out of the habit. So this is really an interesting snapshot of what happened in 2000, what's happening in 2004. 10 of the responding organizations had only 1 to 4 volunteers. So that was sort of scary to me. But the majority had between 10 and 19 volunteers. Maybe that's really probably not enough, but we'll talk about volunteer recruitment with these two great programs that we have represented here today. So there's only 6 groups that have huge volunteer corps, over 100. And we know that these are the largest organizations, and they have people, staff members, paid staff members that do nothing but manage recruitment, manage cultivation of volunteers, recognition and recruitment. Next slide, please. So the people in our organization, we were asking people about personnel, whether they were paid or volunteer. And the top response to this was, we could benefit from having younger volunteers. That was the thing that was on most people's minds. So that's part of the reason why we're having this webinar today. Not far behind that was the category, our volunteer retention is effective. Only 41% or 42% here said that it was. And there were 4 questions about volunteers. Respondent organizations wanted more younger volunteers. They said that their volunteer retention was effective. But 29% said they had a sufficient number of volunteers, which meant that the vast majority, 70% did not. But only a quarter of the respondents said that their volunteer recruitment was effective. So we'll hear from our 2 panel members today about what they're doing, and maybe you'll be able to take back some ideas from them. Next slide. So the next 2 questions showed how visitors can help us, volunteers, excuse me, can help us in the whole of providing good visitor experience for people. Our visitor services personnel, whether they're volunteers or paid, help us provide a good experience when people come to see us. The respondents agreed that they wanted to be involved with mobile apps, but we also want to be able to help people understand that your site is part of a network of other sites that are either on a same theme, and what we want to encourage people to do is to go visit multiple sites when they're out and about and doing their visiting. So it's important that the volunteers and other visitor service personnel understand what other organizations have to offer, and by we need to do some familiarization activities, meaning going on tours, having our staff volunteers go on tours of other sites so they know what to expect and what they can describe for visitors that come here, and encouraging them to go further along on their journey throughout Chester County. Next slide, please. And then this slide really was talking about what was going to be of interest to people. They're help finding volunteers. 60% said they wanted to do that. They wanted other ways to link themselves to other sites so that we can promote not only your site, but other sites on the same theme or in the same area. They want tips and to help recruit, train, and support volunteers. Hopefully that's what we'll do today for you. And so really critically, we need to really create an environment where our volunteers know about what other sites have to offer and encourage them to go visit there. So next slide, please. So today we have two very helpful women with us. Mandie Cantlin is the Township Manager for East Bradford Township, and Karen Mudgett is the Senior Manager for Volunteers at the Chester County Food Bank. And I have questions for both of them, and I'd like them to talk a little bit about you know, where they work, how long they've been in the job, and particularly if volunteer management isn't your full-time job like it is for Karen, particularly if let's start with Mandie. How much time do you really devote to volunteerism in your job? Mandie.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Yes, I'm the Township Manager of East Bradford Township, just outside Westchester. I have been the manager for about 6 years, but been at East Brad for about 20, and in local government about 25. It is most definitely not my full-time job. It's one of many hats that I wear, but others here on the staff wear as well. So it's, you know, working with volunteers and engaging volunteers happens at a lot of different levels, a lot of types of volunteers, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I would say for me, it's something that I touch probably several times a week in a variety of areas.
Okay, great. And how about you, Karen? With that, we know that the food bank is your full-time job. Can you tell us a little bit how long you've been there, and really your volunteer management experience in general?
Sure. Thanks and welcome. I moved down from Connecticut 2 years ago. And since I've been in Pennsylvania, I've been employed as a senior manager of volunteer services at Chester County Food Bank. It is a full-time job. And it is a full-time job. We are very fortunate that we have a great deal of volunteers, of people who want to volunteer and to support our cause. Before that, I was also a volunteer director in a nursing home up in Connecticut. And I am one who volunteers myself. I volunteered, I can't tell you how many hours when my kids were all in school and growing up. It's just, it's in my nature, and it's in theirs as well.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So I'd like both of these ladies provided some really excellent handout materials or sample documents from their organizations, and we'll have that put in the chat for you so that you can see them. But then they'll reference them during their talks. But right now, I'd like to ask about, you know, we'll start with Karen. How do you recruit volunteers, and do you use any kind of volunteer management software?
So I use Volunteer Hub, which I really like for the fact that anybody who volunteers has to be a registered volunteer. And once they become a volunteer, they then go into my data bank. So, and they remain in there. So my data bank has roughly about 10,000 people in it right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
You inherited that though, right?
Yes, I inherited a lot, some of it. Yes, I did. And a lot has grown since I've been there as well. So we are very, very fortunate that there are corporate groups that all over Chester County that want to volunteer. A lot of the corporate groups tend to give VTO days or tell their employees
what does VTO mean?
Volunteer time off.
Okay.
Okay, so they may say to them, hey, you have 40 hours of VTO time. You can take them, you'll get paid from the company to volunteer at wherever you choose to volunteer. I also have companies that want to come in that want to volunteer, like a group of 10 or a group of 15 or et cetera, that want to volunteer as a group. What we do on our website is that we have a form that they fill out, and they complete the form, and it tells me like what the name of the group is, who the contact is, how many people they want in the group, and roughly when they want to volunteer. And then that helps me to then be able to fit them into a slot here, there, or wherever I can put them in. So
Okay, great. Well, let's hear from Mandie about how she manages volunteers. How do you recruit them, rather?
Sure. On the recruitment end, so one of the things I want to say is we have a bunch of different categories of volunteers. We have volunteers that serve in a very formal capacity in local government, in a capacity that's designated by state law. So for instance, our planning commissions or zoning hearing boards, things like that. Those are all volunteer roles that have very defined descriptions, if you will. And I think one of the documents that I had provided were just summaries of some of those descriptions that are on our website. So our mechanism for recruiting those types of people tend to be through our newsletter. They generally have to be residents, so we're tapping into the people that live in the community. Certainly word of mouth as well. People that are already volunteers tend to know other people who might be willing to volunteer. So we really try to tap into the networks that we already have. But those people generally tend to be older. We're starting to see some younger people come into those positions, but they're people with time often, and they're oftentimes people that can take time out of evenings and things like that. Ballpark, we have about 60 of those people. But then there's a whole nother contingent that tends to be much more ad hoc, much more flexible, much more focused on specific things like trail maintenance or recreational events or park stewardship. That tends to be, most of it. And that's a much broader perspective, range of people, people that use the properties and have connection to them and want to see them maintained, so they're willing to give a couple hours of their time. We have connected over the years with schools and gotten community groups from schools, from elementary to older. We've gotten Eagle Scouts have found out that we are open to their projects. So we have scouts come to us and propose projects as well, church groups, even working with the district justice. Sometimes different DJs or use community service, some more, some less. So knowing that we're open and available to those resources. Those people tend to align themselves with a certain interest. They have a passion about something, and we try to tap into that passion. And it's like a snowball. Once you're open to working with those people, people start to find you. So there's a large contingent there. We do not have anything as sophisticated as the food bank. We don't use software. We really just use, I have a simple Excel chart for people that are interested in doing some of the more formalized volunteers. But the ad hoc stuff is most of our Parks and Rec department. They're managing that and managing those volunteer work days. Okay,
great. I wanted to go back to Karen for a minute.
Sure.
You talked about Volunteer Hub, and one of the handouts we have is you provided some information for me. It's not inexpensive.
Correct.
Right. So you want to talk a little bit about why you use that kind of software and the utility of it for you?
Sure. So the software that I said we use is Volunteer Hub. But what's great about Volunteer Hub is that there is a link to it on our website, and volunteers can go in and register. The form, the waivers and everything are all in there that they have to sign. They can then go into Volunteer Hub and look and see what opportunities that we have available for volunteering, and they can sign themselves right up. It will pull reports for me. I can run reports monthly. The volunteer can go into their own account and see how many hours they volunteered, what they're going to be volunteering for, their upcoming events. trying to think of all the things that it does. Like I said, it can pull a number of reports. I can put volunteers into a group. So if, for example, if I have what we call our fabulous farmers who work out at either Gander or Springton Manor, we can link those people into what we call a group called Fab Farmers, a user group. And I can just have those people go into that group because we know that they're dedicated, and that we can say, hey, I'm posting some shifts at the farm. We're just giving you a heads up. You get first round at looking at them beforehand. So you can just establish user groups. And what I do also is I create a landing page for all of our corporate groups, or any groups that want to volunteer. Could be a school group, a Girl Scout troop, etc. When they sign up for an activity, I send them a link, and that link is for that event, and that event is reserved specifically for that group.
Okay. All right, good. Let's talk a little bit about volunteer job descriptions. Like they don't have to be elaborate, but I know that you do them on Volunteer Hub. Can you talk? I know you were there's somebody in your agency that's a very gifted writer.
Yes.
And tell us about what kind of blurbs she writes for these recruitment activities.
Gosh, we brainstorm, staff do, and try and come up with brand new job volunteer opportunities all the time. So we've created quite a bit. I know that we had we were picking peaches for the food bank, and they were the peachy volunteers. Anne, who is our marketing manager, does a great job of coming up with some catchy names that I had sent Donna, and I'm throwing some at the top of my head. I can't think of some of them, but we have a warehouse produce packer where they help pack dry goods. Everything that we come up with, we have a full description of it online. So it'll say, hey, this is a heavy lifting. You need to lift up to X amount of pounds. Or with our Color Some Kindness volunteers, which is coloring some boxes for our senior box program, they have to have background checks, and I think child abuse checks as well, clearances. So it says specifically in the job description what is required of it, anybody and everybody that needs to volunteer for those opportunities. And Donna, I'm drawing a blank on some of those fun-filled names that Ian has come up with.
We have that as a handout
job descriptions.
No trouble. No trouble.
Yeah.
And how about Mandie? You also do sort of brief volunteer job descriptions too. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, most of what we have is what I had referenced on our website under boards and commissions. I think those are our formal roles that we have. We have the positions summarized there so that they kind of know what to expect. They know when they meet. They know the kind of topics that particular board and committee works on. Those are the closest things that we really have to descriptions. As we get further away from that and more into that ad hoc world that is mostly our parks and trails and recreation groups, we have different references that we might use. There are plans. We have stewardship plans that have a list of different volunteer opportunities, and we might look to that plan to organize a specific work day. But that type of volunteerism is often really led in person by our staff, since it's really just it might be, 1 or 2 work days, and they're saying, here's what we're doing today. We're cutting this, we're removing that. So it's more of a hands-on demonstration, if you will.
Okay. All right, great. And then what about younger volunteers? I know that primarily for Karen, it's through organizations, schools, clubs, et cetera. What about you, Mandie? Do you do any outreach for younger people?
Yeah, we do, or we've started to build some of those, some of those connections over the years. We have relationships with the schools. We have 2 elementary schools in the township, so they do some cute projects with us for like weeding kind of things. And then there are most schools, like high schools in the area, both public and private, have community service programs in a variety of types, and tapping into those schools and those resources, half the time they're looking for opportunities and they don't know you exist. So just informing them of who you are, what you do, and what kind of opportunities you might have for them Eagle Scouts, Boy Scout troops, depending on the type of work. Eagle Scouts are often looking for project opportunities or people that are willing to entertain. You kind of have to take their proposal, but they'll fit their proposal and their interest into things that you're doing. And sometimes we have used those opportunities to engage and to start to pull in family-aged young adults, people who might not be able to commit to a monthly meeting or a routine schedule. But if we can just tap them for the things that they are interested in or they're willing to do, even if it's just on their own, being able to maintain a certain trail and take clippers out, if they go with their family, it's just creating a connection that then you can adapt and evolve as their lives change, as they get older. Because, the younger generations, the 30s, the 40s, they're busy and they're trying to juggle a bunch of different things. So just trying to be inventive about how you engage that age bracket.
Great. How about Karen?
Donna, regarding recruitment, I just wanted to say that, a lot of the Girl Scout and Brownie troops and Boy Scouts all need badges. So they do tend to want to volunteer as a group in order to earn some kind of badge. Mandie was right. A lot of the schools, a lot of the students need like 30 hours or something like that for their senior class project. So a lot of them tend to come to us. And actually, I have a lot of them run some food drives on their own, which they can get many hours doing it that way. There's a lot of church groups out there as well that are looking to volunteer. When I was a volunteer director in Connecticut, I would put ads in church bulletins to see if I could get volunteers that way to help us out when I was in the nursing home. And like I said, there's just so many corporate groups out there that I think are willing to give, that if you tap into them, all the banks volunteer. Mostly all of the corporate groups are looking for a volunteer opportunity, maybe a one-time or volunteering more than once. But I think, as Mandie said, I think once you get people and they believe in your cause and your mission, I believe that they will stay with you.
Okay, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about training of the volunteers. I know that Karen provided a training PowerPoint presentation as one of the handout materials. You want to talk a little bit about why training is so important for you?
Yeah, so what we do is we do roughly an overview of who we are and what we are. I just feel that if people are volunteering, they need to know who we are and what they're volunteering for. And then we go into my volunteer handbook that I have that just talks about safety. We go over safety with them, signing in, signing out, parking, many different things. But it's about an hour and a half long, a training that we end up doing with all of them, trying to go do it with all of my new volunteers that are coming in. I offer usually monthly, and then I'm going to go back and do the volunteers that have been volunteering for a couple of years. I'm kind of going on the back end, I guess you can say. We're getting there, but it's a lot of people to end up training, needless to say. And then if there's specific volunteer opportunities, such as maybe our mobile market and our volunteers that are what we call Taste It volunteers, they will go to specific training before they can even volunteer for that opportunity. And again, it's listed on the website.
Okay. All right, good. How about Mandie? What kind of training do you provide, if any, for the volunteers that you have?
So again, varied because the roles vary. The boards and commissions that we have, some of them actually have, and the historic folks on this call will know this, some of them, our historic commission has training obligations. So we try to offer them a variety of outside training that the township will pay for, and then sometimes we'll bring in professionals in certain areas to make sure that we're providing those opportunities. And really the same thing for most of those boards and commissions. There's planning and zoning and just general public administration training that's available for those roles, and we do cover the costs. On the flip side, some of the training that we would provide for more of our hands-on labor maintenance kind of work is somewhat what Karen was talking about, the, the just brief instruction of who we are, how whatever that volunteer is doing fits into the broader picture of what we do, because that I think is important. And then, just the basic safety things, don't hit somebody with a shovel, and, make sure you're using the equipment appropriately. That tends to come into play on that kind of thing. Where we have volunteers that really seem like they're going to take ownership of some of that outside work, we have given them further training in how to construct a trail. And some of that's been through like the International Mountain Bike Association, or training on certain types of equipment that we would generally tend to run ourselves. We might train them on how to use that type of equipment. So that's, we try to see the opportunity and how we might be able to grow and invest in some of these volunteers that then makes our jobs easier and more effective.
All right, thank you so much for talking about that, because that's sort of a critical function of retention. That here somebody has done very well, who's a stalwart volunteer, is very capable, dedicated, comes when they say they're going to come, etc. And how do we, and I'd like to hear from both of you a little bit more about really how do we reward or encourage retention for those volunteers that have really done a great deal already for you? How about you, Karen?
So what I have is I have what I call lead volunteers. So those are the ones, as Mandie just talked about, ones that have been volunteering for quite some time, know the ropes, know the place inside and out, know how to do the job. And then what I'll do is I'll have the group, say it's in the warehouse, I'll have a lead volunteer. They'll then take that smaller group and I'll say here, and they will show them exactly what needs to be done and go over everything, and they really kind of take the lead, which helps me out quite a bit. Same thing with the front desk. Our front desk staff all go through a training, but there's certain volunteers that have been at the front desk, that are really vested, I would say, train really well and can work really well with training others. And I'll say to them, hey, can you sit with so-and-so and teach them how to do this? And I think by acknowledging that somebody has strengths, I think it definitely helps to retain your volunteers.
Great. How about you, Mandie?
A couple different ways, and some of this points back to some of the documents that I provided. We do have an annual volunteer dinner, which is largely geared towards our kind of those formalized volunteers, our boards and commissions. We've had similar types of like happy hours for, again, more of our routine trail folks. That tends to fit better with kind of who they are and just that culture. We typically we have 3 newsletters that come out that get mailed out to the residents. We try to highlight volunteer efforts in there. A lot of that points back to more of our scouts and our scout projects and things that they've done in our properties. And we certainly use our social media platforms too for school groups and some of those projects. And that tends to be beneficial sometimes for students, particularly if they're in that older bracket and they're looking to kind of throw the breadcrumbs down for college recruitment. They can repost and share those types of opportunities that they've been involved in, and that reflects, good on them for that kind of world as well. So those, just the dinners, the happy hours, the general recognition, and then kind of, as Karen says, the more you can kind of invest in them and create leaders that are then where they can go out and bring in people from their network and further educate, that's where it becomes really valuable.
Okay, that's great.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Karen.
I was going to say, I think if people like where they're volunteering, that they are, they're going to go out and help recruit for you. I think one of the things that we're really good at the food bank is always thanking our volunteers, and we thank them constantly. And I'm talking everybody in the food bank. I'm talking the warehouse, the drivers, to everybody and anybody who works at the food bank. We realize how much volunteers, how much time they give to us, and how many hours they give us as well.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the recognition. And you supplied some really cool, some really interesting information, some photographs and the kind of merchandise that you use, that you give to volunteers to recognize various numbers of hours that they have donated to you. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So we have an annual volunteer recognition event, usually in April. And what we do at 50 hours, when they reach their first 50 hours, we give them what we call a golden t-shirt. That's kind of yellow or golden. At 100 hours, they're going to get a Chester County Food Bank mug. At 500, they're going to get a Chester County Food Bank ball cap. And 1,000 hours, they get a black fleece jacket. And there's some of the pictures of some of this stuff. Our volunteers that work in the kitchen, in the processing kitchen and our production kitchen all need to wear hats. So they're going to be very happy to know that they're going to be getting hats for their 500 hours. And I do actually have one volunteer that has reached 2,000 hours, and he will be getting a rain, Chester County Food Bank rain jacket. So we're very happy about that. At the volunteer recognition event, last year, 5 of them reached 1,000 hours. And Nick, who is pictured in here, is our government relations manager. And he was fortunate enough to get some legislators to come out. And I believe they did some kind of proclamation for those 5 volunteers, which was really great. And they brought it with them. Yep. And we involve those legislators as much as we can with our volunteers. Mm-hmm. And also the food bank. Yep. As Mandie said, we do a lot with social media as well. We did it again this year, is that last year we did a thank you video to our volunteers, which I think I provided.
Very cute. One of the I encourage everybody to look at it. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. What we did was we involved all the staff, and I said to every department, you know what? I want you to say thank you to the volunteers. I don't care how you do it. It's your department. I let the manager of that department figure it out. And we did some creative thanking, and we did it again this year. And it was, every time it's just so much fun to do. It really is. And to get all of your staff involved in saying thank you, it really is a great time. So I encourage you to do that if you possibly can.
Okay. How about you, Mandie? What kind of, you talked about the formal dinner here, that the very attractive invitation. Anything else?
As I said, the happy hour stuff. I think I took a picture of actually the slide that was just up with Karen's, idea of the hours. I think that's something that's a great idea. Gives people something. So that's something I might employ here on our end as well, because I like that. And really just the highlighting, highlighting the contributions. That's the volunteer report that's awesome. Usually in most of the newsletters that we run, and I think that too, that kind of public, publication of stuff also brings in more volunteers, as these newsletters get distributed out to residents who have kids or who might be looking for community projects. They tend to reach out as well. So it tends to be a good cycle. Great.
All right, we have a few minutes left, and I wanted to just get some words of wisdom from each of you about volunteerism, and then we're going to open it up for questions. So, Mandie, you want to go first?
Oh, shucks. I was hoping Karen would get to go first.
All right, I'll have Karen go first.
No, I was thinking the same thing, Mandie. You go ahead.
It's words of wisdom. I think it really just, for me, it comes down to people want to feel valued. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel like everybody's time is valuable. So they want to feel that their time is going, is going to a good place and is being used in a good way. And that it takes, in local government, and everybody's in a different situation here. For me anyway, I've had to kind of rethink what volunteering in local government looks like. Traditionally, it has been very rigid, where you have boards and committees and they have a certain role and they come in at night, very, very rigid. And that's not the way that society necessarily is working now. So really thinking about the menu of opportunity that you might have for a volunteer, and the broadest way possible that you can connect, with people, because, volunteerism just in itself has declined in the last, 50, 75 years, and how to rethink that and make it meaningful to today's, younger generations.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. How about Karen?
Well, as Mandie said, I agree. You have to make your volunteer jobs meaningful, and you also have to make sure that when they're coming to volunteer, you have something for them to do and they're not standing around, because people's time is as precious as mine is, and they want to be doing something, which I don't blame them, needless to say. I will say a couple of things. One, with our volunteer recognition event, the staff, we are usually making all the food for that. That's another way of us giving back. For example, we're being at the food bank, so I made sugar cookies that look like carrots and strawberries that we will be decorating for them. And we're going to be cutting like vegetables out that look like flowers or different fruit and stuff like that. So we're going to make it really like a fun, festive garden type volunteer recognition event this year. The other thing to mention is that community service, like with the judicial system, I know a lot of people need community service hours. I get a ton of phone calls from people that have DUIs, et cetera, that need community service hours, and I just don't have enough hours or enough opportunities for any of those. But you can always get on that list at the with the judicial system as well. I am gonna end with a quote, if that's okay with you, Donna.
Sure.
It's from Deanne Hollis. The heart of a volunteer is never measured in size, but by the depth of the commitment to make a difference in the lives of others.
Thank you. Thank you
And
very
I think it's, I think it's just important. Like I said, and the other thing is people want to volunteer. I've at least found that a lot of people want to volunteer, and that please don't think outside of your box, because you're probably going to find something. If you say to yourself, oh, I'm never going to find a volunteer. Hey, I can't tell you how many times I was told I'm not going to find volunteers, and I have.
Mm-hmm. Great. Great. Wonderful. All right. Well, I think that I really appreciate both Mandie and Karen taking time out of their days to help us with suggestions about what peer organizations are doing, in Chester County. And we'd like to take any sort of questions from the audience. Karen Simmons, maybe if there's any questions in the chat, could you share them with us, or we'd happy to take questions from the participants. We have 25 people on this call, so you'd have to unmute yourself and in order to ask a question.
Yeah, questions, comments, and observations. I'd like to know some of the recruitment sources that Mandie and Karen talked about. Are there other recruitment sources that people have found valuable or not so valuable? Best practices and learning from each other. And also Mandie and Karen both talked about recruiting younger volunteers and having more flexible opportunities. And how is that working for other people as well?
Yep. Don't be shy. Okay.
A lot of information. So what we'll do is we'll make sure and email the attachments as well as this PowerPoint to anybody who signed up for today's call, plus it's on the website. I actually, the other question I have before we close down is what's coming up for people when it relates to 250? Are there things that you're doing that you want others to know about? Upcoming conversations, programs, that sort of thing? You want to use this time to do a little bit of self-promotion? We have 4 minutes, so you're welcome to tell us what's up when it comes to celebrating and commemorating the heritage and the founding of our nation, and what you're thinking of at this point and what's in store. Anybody have upcoming things they want to share?
Can I throw out one?
Yeah, Ms.
Sorry.
Kennedy. Go ahead. Ms.
Sorry.
Kennedy.
Karen, I'm Laura Kennedy. I'm with Founding Forward. We were formerly Freedom's Foundation at Valley Forge.
Yeah.
We just got last week one of the mini grants from the America 250 Keep PA Beautiful for Pennsylvania Day on July 20th.
Great.
And the stipulation of that grant is that it needs to be a volunteer day of service, basically on your property. So we are going to be putting together like a service day on the property to help clean up the Medal of Honor Grove.
Nice.
We're going to replace some of the markers that recognize some of the Medal of Honor recipients, do some access stuff on the pathways, on the walking paths. So if I could send to you any information about signing up volunteers, that all goes through the America 250 website to sign up the volunteers, but I would love to invite everybody to get involved with that.
We want to help co-promote that like crazy. So anything you can email or do on social media, we'll definitely, Beth Kay and Paige will make sure to get it out. That would be great.
Amazing. Thank
Just
you.
email it. I mean, our general email is what? Info at America 250. It's on the handout.
Okay.
I'll put my email in the chat. Just send it to me. Anyone on this call who has promotional material, send it to me.
Cool. Thanks.
That's great. I'm glad. Yeah. July 20th, in the middle of the hottest time of summer, it's volunteer day. So thank you very much for forging ahead. Yep. So yeah, just send Beth Kay information and we'll get it out there and post it on websites and social media and like. Ms. Kennedy, what's your first name? I missed that.
Laura.
Laura? Okay, we'll make sure an update. I'm sorry it didn't. Yep, that'd be great. Who else has got upcoming things for 250 patriotism?
I have one.
Yes, who said
well,
that? Oh, Janine, yes.
Janine did. Chester County 250th has already promoted this for me, but I just wanted to throw out for anybody that wants to volunteer the Brandywine Battlefield Park on Route 1, which is the state park. The Brandywine Battlefield Task Force, in coordination with Keep Chester County Beautiful, is doing a park day on May 11th. And we're going to clean up shrubbery, but also a cool thing is we're going to get to go inside the Gilpin House barn, and we're going to be cleaning out that barn because they would like to do future heritage interpretation as part of our heritage interpretation network under the 250th. So if anybody wants to volunteer, you can email me or you can go to Chester County 250th's website has information. And again, it's May 11th from 10 a.m. to 12:30. And then it'll be helping primarily clean out the barn at the Gilpin House. So you'll get to see a historic barn. It'll be kind of fun. And it's helping the Battlefield Park is our Brandywine Battlefield Gateway for the Heritage Interpretive Network that the 250th is promoting. So thank you.
That's great. Leslie, you have something?
Yes, I'm the president of the Chester County Concert Band, and I've been attending these meetings, and it's just wonderful. And I did want to, this is not directly related
Paving the way.
That's very true. So we're having our spring concert on Sunday, May 5th at Bugett Middle School, 2:30 p.m. Tickets can be purchased at the door. It's going to be a great concert, and we are going to be celebrating, in addition to the 20th year of our director, just other things. And we always have a 50-50 raffle, and we, choose a beneficiary that has something to do with our theme. And since our theme is celebrations, we're going to be featuring, actually, we're going to be giving our 50-50 raffle to the Chester County 250 program, and Karen's going to be coming and speaking on behalf of the organization. So I think it's going to be a great concert, and if you're available, I did put it in the chat with where you can get more information on that.
And thank you for letting us at 250 come and talk to your incredible audience about 250's coming, 250's coming. So and anybody who wants us to come out and talk, we try like crazy, so please. And Leslie, can you also give people a clue for the Chester County Concert Band? What kinds of things you might be able to do at their sites to help? I mean, what kind of music, what kind of sites? Just a little, not a bunch.
Right. I mean, obviously, we have a tremendous amount of music available to us and that we work on. And of course, we can have a concert of just patriotic music or, a mixture of different kinds of music. But, we would love to, we do not march. We're not a parade band. So we just sit and play. Even though we have about 100 members in the band, typically most of our concerts would have more in the area of 60 to 70 or so attending. And we play, of course, to a wide variety of music and a wide variety of ages. So, for children all the way up through seniors, we have some music to entertain all those people. So please keep us in mind for, future events that you may have. And, we can be sort of in the background adding some music, or we can be an actual feature of the event.
Thank you. Anybody else have things coming up? It's a start. Anybody? Going? All right. So thank you for devoting your lunchtime to 250 and for everything you're doing every single day for 250. Just wanted to make sure you have Friday, June 7th on your calendar. Come on over to Thornbury Farm in the morning. We're going to do meet and greet in person. What a concept. And really, we'll have promoting some discussion about what people are doing for 250 with a planning process to help people think it through more. And some of the legislators who we're trying to get heritage tourism and preservation money from will be there to meet and greet you. So the more people we have, the better. So the agenda is always in process, yet at the same time getting firmed up more. So do sign up because 150 folks can fit at Thornbury Farm underneath, and it'll be a good morning. There's an 8:15 sort of coffee meet and greet, and 9 o'clock is the hard start. And we'll provide continental breakfast and a little lunch and a lot of beautiful outdoor trees to meet and greet and plan underneath. And it follows up with a tour, a heritage tour at Thornbury Farm for anybody who's interested, right there at the Brandywine Battlefield area. So that's what we have for today. More to come. Please contact individually if you have questions and ideas about 250. And thank you very much, Donna and Karen and Mandie, for giving us some tips for managing and recruiting and retaining volunteers through all different ages and stages. It's a good start. I would love to get together a recruitment panel for a future session of folks who have volunteers that they're trying to get out to the community. I like the ideas that you had about where you get volunteers, and let's put some others together in a panel so we can do even more, okay?
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Have a great day and a fantastic warm weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything.